What's up, AfterBuzzers? We are here, the Terror After Show, Season 2, Episode 6, Taizo. Yuko has a baby. Chester finds out the truth, and Yuko has a burial? We got a lot to talk about. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello.
Oh my God.
I know she's shocked over what is that.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Terror Infamy After Show. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm your boy, Danny Royce, and I'm joined by my awesome panel here. We have a very special guest in the house tonight, which I'll introduce you to her very soon. But all the way here on the left side, you've seen him in Pennyworth, and he's the host of the Dark German.
That's right.
After show. In German?
I do it in German for you guys, right?
Schnau.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for having me again. I appreciate it. Yeah, I never forget my people in Austria, Switzerland, and Germany.
There you go.
Of course.
And right next to him, our very special guest. She plays Fumi Yoshida. You've seen her in Hawaii Five-0, The Big Bang Theory, Jane the Virgin, SWAT, NCIS. Please welcome Hira Ambrosino.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thanks so much for being here. Hello.
Thanks for
How you
being
doing?
here.
Good.
Very good, thank you.
Oh my God, this show was just amazing.
This was an awesome show.
Oh
We don't have
God.
Anais today, but hi Anais, we miss you.
We
Hope
miss
you're
you
good.
wherever you are.
Wherever you are.
No, I know where you are, but fingers crossed you're gonna make it.
Yes.
Looking forward to it.
I mean,
Hear
she's
more
not in
about it.
trouble, guys.
No, my God, she's good. She's better than,
Then what are your overall thoughts of this episode?
I mean, a lot of questions were answered.
Yes,
And I'm really
it
glad
really
about
was.
that because I had a lot of questions for the last couple of episodes. I was always writing my questions down, but there was never an answer to
Right.
it. But now I understand why Yuko is doing all these things. And it makes sense. And now I actually like her.
Right.
I really like her. I feel for her even,
Yes.
which is incredible. So I really like the twist in this episode.
Yeah, it definitely
Really.
brought in like a victim aspect to Yuko. Hira, I want to talk to you about seeing this episode. Have you saw this episode before?
I've seen bits and pieces of it, but not
This
the
was like the full
entirety.
time.
Right.
And what were your thoughts of like seeing the full episode come together, come to life, and seeing yourself on there?
It is a jam-packed episode,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yes.
It's
It
very
is.
jam-packed.
It is.
It's
Right.
it's full of lots of answers.
Yeah.
And yet not every answer is there.
Right.
It was wonderful. The director, Everardo Gut, was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And this episode was written by Max Borenstein, who created the show with Alex Wu
Okay.
and Ben Klein. And I thought they did a phenomenal job
I
of,
think so too.
all of a sudden introducing the viewers to all these answers that are not complete just
Yeah,
yet.
it's just like half
as
answers.
to, right, what is happening, right? Yuko's background,
Yeah.
Right.
as well as why she might be coming after Chester.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that was beautifully done.
I thought it was beautiful. Yeah.
Right.
And
And
Kiki is just awesome as Yuko.
Oh,
Kiki's
yeah.
just wonderful,
So,
isn't she?
yeah.
She's just
performance.
phenomenal.
Right.
So beautiful
Yes.
Right.
and mysterious at the same time.
Yeah.
and strong too.
I know, and we
Yeah.
talked about that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we talked about demons and stuff like that. But
Yes.
now, for me, is a realization. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we talked about it. And also, these people on the show, we all have a good and a bad side in us. It
Yes.
just depends on what we are experiencing.
Right.
Very true.
And
Right.
that's really something that Yuko experienced. So she just wants to make it right again, right? Because she
Right.
felt like, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. I want to
Yeah.
go back in time and just want to reverse it. You
It's
know what I mean?
crazy. Yeah, we definitely saw the human side of Yuko.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I want to start off. Okay, so Yuko's in. She's on the bridge. She's about to jump. Right. She
Yeah.
lost her baby. We saw that she had a baby, and she was married, Furia-san. So that was interesting.
Well, she was
Or
going
had-
to be married.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes. So that whole thing, like now that we know with the eyes and all that stuff, and
Right.
like everything just slowly came together.
Right.
And Ben, what did you think about when she was on the bridge and the lady was walking by? Who did you think she was?
The lady?
Yeah.
I mean,
When you first
that
saw
was
her.
yeah, that's a very interesting thing. That's the way how it was shot and the kind of atmosphere I felt when I watched the scene. I felt like this lady was there on purpose.
Yeah.
She didn't just walk by and say, "Oh, hey, how are you doing?" That didn't happen like that.
Right. About to jump?
But I also have to say, and that's really something I'm still asking myself, because Yuko obviously was pregnant when she was about to get married to Furuya-san, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, does that mean that she was actually cheating on him? Because she was pregnant from someone else, right? We have to say that.
Yeah.
So, I'm still trying to figure out.
So,
what,
well,
you know what I mean?
That, yeah.
Well, I think what we learned was that she was pregnant when she arrived in the United States to marry Hideo Furuya,
right?
Who is a fisherman. We know that from previous episodes. But Hideo finds out on their wedding night that she was already carrying a child.
Right.
So I think she was also hiding it for a while then.
Right. So, Hideo may not have known.
Right.
No, obviously he didn't know, but not Hideo. Yuko may not have known about when exactly she was going to be married to Hideo when the marriages were arranged. Because don't forget, back then, just about every marriage was arranged.
Right.
Now I got it.
Right.
So it's
now
not like,
I got you.
Right.
It was arranged. Now I got it, because she didn't really want to probably get married to him, but there was no choice at the end for her.
That could be possible.
That's possible.
Now it makes sense.
But a lot of things were arranged, for sure.
Of course.
Right. So it appears that she became pregnant before this marriage was arranged.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe she didn't know she was pregnant when the marriage was arranged.
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe.
Not.
I mean, that's just a lot to go through. Just anyway, as as a woman, and so she made up that decision to give her baby away and to take her life, because she felt that what good is a woman if they can't provide for her child?
Right.
As a woman, like, what do you say about that, especially in the Japanese culture?
Well, I'm a mother. I'm Japanese American, but I'm actually an immigrant. I grew up in Japan, so having known life in Japan, I would say that Yuko probably must have been devastated.
Yeah.
In the 1920s, especially when she was pregnant with child in Japan. I'm not that old. I'm very old, but not that old.
Come on.
You look beautiful, though.
Thank you.
No, you do.
But in the 1920s, to be pregnant out of wedlock would have been completely unacceptable.
Right.
Which is why she was begging Hideo to just please take her in. She doesn't have anybody else.
Right.
We can just tell people that this is your child.
Yeah.
Pretend like they can fudge the age a few months, I'm sure, back then.
Right.
Yeah. Let's just change that.
Right. I'm sure people did that.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think for her to not be able to feed her own child must have been just horrible.
Yeah.
And, in the same way that the soldier from last week's episode, Tetsuya Ota, died in honor rather than live in shame.
Yeah.
I think that's what Yuko was doing, was to give up her child so that somebody could raise her, even if it's an orphanage.
Mm-hmm.
They could at least house this boy and feed this boy.
Right.
Whereas she couldn't.
Yeah.
So she was going to just do the right thing and die in honor.
Wow.
She chose to jump off the bridge, and then she winds up in paradise, so to speak. So to speak. They're like, not so much.
It's more like purgatory.
Right? That's what Chio called it, paradise. But so purgatory, and so it was interesting because I'm like, okay, so it had her family crescent, in there, and you spoke a little bit about that. Can you elaborate on the family crescent?
So the family crescent did not belong to every family historically, but many families had it, and it was particularly useful during a time when many Japanese people were not educated. So people who could not read and write also had family crescents, and they may have placed them on carts that they owned, and so forth. But of course, family crescents also belong to very wealthy and very well-established families, like the emperor's family, for example. They have the chrysanthemum crescent, and nobody uses the chrysanthemum crescent in Japan except the royal family, the imperial family.
And
so that happens.
Yeah, and so she quickly identified what that was, and so the whole like Groundhog Day effect was kind of
exactly. I was like, breakfast
waking up, waking up. I'm like, is this what you have to look forward to?
Right, exactly.
The rest of your life.
The rest of your life, just okay, keep going. And so only family could be in that sort of purgatory realm, right? Blood.
Right.
So I'm assuming the guy tending the garden was a family, right? Or I don't know.
I think we can assume that, we never really found out for sure.
Right.
He was creepy though.
He was really creepy.
I mean, the whole scenario was a little bit too perfect, if you ask me. And if it's too perfect, I'm questioning.
Right. Yeah, she's like, this reminds me of Japan back home. I'm like,
I mean, it looked great.
Right. But can somebody really build their house into that? I'm like, that's pretty nice.
But I'm just thinking, if it's just for the same blood, the same family, let's say, this place, this kind of paradise, how was it possible actually for Yuko to go there? Does that mean that this lady who was taking her to that place is related to her? Because otherwise...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed that.
Yeah, that's what was implied.
Yeah, so she was like generations.
But we don't know how.
We don't know how so much. Yeah.
I see.
But she has been waiting for a long time.
Because what we saw in the episode was that she murdered her own child.
That's right.
Her own daughter, yeah.
Right.
So
which she doesn't take responsibility for.
Right.
It's the daughter's fault.
It's the daughter's fault.
She enraged me.
My only question was like, okay, so I know many of their of their bloodline has died since then, since Chio, right? So is it a type of death like suicide that brings you to this certain realm?
Right. So I think if you take your own life, that's not great.
Yeah.
That's going against nature.
Right.
So there's a potential for these demons to take that life and kidnap them into this purgatory-like place.
Right. Okay.
I think that's what that was.
Which means that the mom who killed her daughter, but she says she didn't, basically was honest to herself at some point and took her own life too. Yeah. Because she realized, okay, I did it.
We can
and now I can't really handle that situation anymore. So I do the same thing that you could now do.
That could be.
We're gonna write another episode.
Yes, that was not in the episode.
I'm German. We're analyzing.
Ben's gonna write his own episode on this one.
And add to it.
You're right.
That's the German way, people.
So Yuko escapes. She finds a way to escape, and by knocking Chio in the sand, right? So the demons grab her, and I don't know where they go after that. Right. Which I don't know. Maybe they're just gone forever. Who knows?
Could be hell.
Yeah, could be hell. Yeah, it's down there, so it could be hell. So she finds a way to escape. It is so crazy how her desire to be a mom was so strong that she was just able to jump across like that. And then we see her in 1941.
Right.
A mess.
I know. And now I know why she looks the way she looks like. It makes all sense to me.
Because her body had been decomposing for 20 years.
Right.
But she can also take on her old form, which is, I think, pretty cool.
Yeah.
A yurei.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it was a lot to just jump into like
that. It was a lot, wasn't it?
But it was cool though. I really enjoyed like how they just threw you in there and then how everything happened. It was amazing.
I just wanted to ask you something very quickly because we heard that 2 times, I think, and she said Yotsu Hanabishi.
Yotsu Hanabishi, right.
What is that? Could you explain that?
That was the crescent.
The crescent.
Yeah, that's the crescent.
That's the sign.
Four flowers.
Right.
As a symbol.
Okay, and that's everyone knows about that. That's a very typical.
No, it's not. It's not necessarily typical, but the Yotsu Hanabishi was the crescent that Yuko knew was her family's
she knew about that
symbol.
Before. Okay, got it.
And she saw it in Chio's house.
Gotcha.
So she pointed that out.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Sorry.
Gotcha.
And of course, remember, Chio changed the subject right away when she brought it up.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Okay.
Chio, her creepy self. She was all creepy.
By the way, great performances.
I did, yes.
You
Can
guys
you tell her also mention about the actress that played Chio?
So the actress who played Chio was Natsuki Kunimoto, and she was flown in from Japan.
That's amazing.
And she was phenomenal in this role, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. That was awesome.
So what does she do in Japan usually?
She's an actress there.
Is she like a big also star in Japan? Is she very well known?
Yeah, she's a very well established actress in Japan.
I love that about the production. They're keeping it real. I love that. You know?
They're keeping it real.
That's great. I really enjoy it.
Yes.
Authentic, authentic. Keeping it real at this young generations, right?
Keeping it real. Well, before we go into our next topic, Ben has a great message for you all.
I always have a great message, right? We're just talking about great messages tonight and answers, right? And we also wanted to say thank you to you guys at home, wherever you are, watching us over and over again, right? You're not getting tired of us because we're gonna continue doing that because you're making us the ESPN of TV talk.
Yes.
So we really appreciate that. If you're on YouTube right now, please just give us some 5 thumbs up, right? I'm always saying 5 thumbs. I love 5 thumbs. And also 5 stars. That would be great. But you can also listen to us on podcasts, Spotify, and also iTunes.
Yes.
Right? So if you don't want to see us, you can just listen to us. It's completely up to you guys. But I would appreciate if you also watch us. Thank you so much. We're going to continue.
I mean, you want to miss out on this? Come on.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, thank you so much. But please, 5 stars and thumbs up. Thank you so much. So Chester finds out the truth. The bomb is dropped.
Wow.
Sorry, that was a wrong phrase to say in this time. But you know what I meant.
Thank you.
God.
Thank you. That was great.
Woo! Yeah, we found out that Chester finds out that Yuko is his mom. Like, what?
I was
crazy.
Shocked. I was shocked. I didn't see that coming.
Right, yeah. I mean, in past episodes, our predictions, okay, I always was like, okay, it's interesting how Yuko never really wants to hurt Chester and how she said once upon a time that I'm here to protect you.
Right.
Which was like, okay, I don't understand exactly how that correlates, but now just like everything just makes total sense.
Now
Totally.
you know.
Yeah. So it was just crazy. What were your thoughts when you found that out?
I was shocked. I mean, as I mentioned, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I didn't see that coming because usually I'm always trying to understand the storyline. How could they do stuff? And I see the twist, the points and stuff like that. But this one was like, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming. So I was really excited about it. And I'm glad that they did something like that. So the unexpected, right? Because usually, there's some storylines, you say, oh, of course they did that because now they can do this or this to that. But this was completely out of the blue for me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate these kind of storylines, So.
No, it was great. And then Asako is Yuko's sister.
Yeah.
Which she swore that Chester Taizo would not be an orphan.
Yeah.
Is this, Hira, is this something that's quite normal in Japanese and Japanese American culture to, if this were to happen, that the family would take on the child?
I would not say that.
No. Okay.
Well,
So it's just really just like a bond, really, that Asako had.
I think so. Yeah. I think this was a very Asako thing to do because, as we've seen in previous episodes, Asako's a very strong person.
Right.
She's very strong as a mother, as a wife.
Right.
And I think she's the kind of person who would not stop at anything to protect her own, and her loved ones.
For sure.
So I'm sure when she heard that her sister had, good Lord, killed herself,
wow.
I'm sure she didn't think more than a second before she decided what she needed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of strong, that slap.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second.
that was by Asako too.
It was just an accident.
And so tell us a little bit about that scene and what you told Asako's character.
Right. That was a real slap.
There you go.
No, I had asked Naoko Mori, who plays Asako, and Naoko could not be more wonderful. I mean, she's a star. She's so amazing in everything she's done. If you don't know her work, you should go and check it out because she's truly phenomenal. So we were rehearsing that scene in which, there's a long dialogue between Fumi, my character, and then Chester, and then Asako comes to shut Fumi up because Fumi keeps saying all these mean things to Chester, right? So Asako tries to shut her up, and then there's this altercation, and Fumi says it's your fault, and then she gets smacked. So we were rehearsing that over and over, and actually we were shooting it over and over. And after a while, I thought it's starting to feel a little bit fake. Now, we had stunt coordinators because, the set was wonderful. Everybody's just protecting us to make sure we're all safe and, not cold when it's cold and not hot when it's hot. It was rarely hot, by the way. But, but it started to feel fake, so I asked Naoko to smack me for real. And she said no. And I said, what do you mean no? Smack me so it feels real. She goes, I've never smacked anybody in my life. I'm not going to start today in front of a camera. Wow. I said, just open hand. I'll be fine. So she smacked me.
And I could tell in your face that was real.
It hurt.
Good choice. Methods.
That look of shock was,
I could see that.
It was like, ow!
Shit, she really did it. Damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fun though. That's fun. Yeah, wow. when Fumi said that, I was just like, what is she talking about?
Right. What is she talking about? Right.
And so it's crazy how she knew already. I mean, Asako and the character and Fumi are very close. I mean, I guess you told her a lot of, her decisions or what happened.
Could be.
Yeah, you can't say
We don't know that part yet.
Come on, Ida. Come on. I tried. No, I was kidding. But the whole confrontation between, or in the room with Chester and his mom and Henry, that was a lot, and just because I kind of, I felt bad for Henry. I'm like, even though he's not your dad, he really stepped up, and raised you and cared for you and loved you,
and took him in as his own.
Right.
And he's the one who did all the outside work, right? So he did all that fishing to feed not just his wife, but his son, Chester. And for Chester to say, you're nothing, right? That's cold.
That is cold. I mean, I get it. He's upset, whatever, but like, there's not a lot of men that would do that. It'll take your wife's sister's son,
that's right,
and just raise him.
That's right.
But I totally agree. By the way, but I also have to say, because he said something like, every time when we were sitting at a table, you just laughed at me or you didn't say anything, and I'm just like, you know what? I understand him a little bit, because I was like, you probably should have told him at some point when he was a teenager, when he was old enough to understand. You're still going to be the dad, but I think you probably should have told him the truth. Why not?
Yeah, this was
right. So from that point of view, I kind of understand him a little bit.
Okay, but this is in the 1920s when this happened.
Okay, I can see that too.
Extramarital affairs and out of wedlock pregnancies. No.
Yeah, it's not a dinner table conversation.
No. It's not any conversation.
Right. I understand. I get where his frustration, all that lies, but
sure.
He is. This is the worst way to find out. Let's put it that way.
Right. It was.
It was like the worst way to find out.
Okay, you won.
Oh yeah, but that stung when he said that you're nothing to Henry.
That was tough.
And it was crazy. It was a lot to take in. So Yuko tries to take a random baby back. Like, do we know who that baby was or it belonged to?
I think it was just a baby.
Yeah.
It was just
a baby of the right age that she could carry.
That's crazy.
Back with her to the underworld.
So she was kind of desperate.
She was
completely
desperate.
She was so lonely.
So desperate.
She was lonely.
Right. Yeah, lonely. Yeah. I mean, she possessed, Asako and got enraged in that moment where Chester called her mother. Right. She's like, this is not your mom.
And almost choked him to death.
Almost choked him, which I'm sure she didn't want to, but, when you're dead, I don't know if you have control over things like that. I don't know, I've never been.
So that means Yuko must have been so desperate that she even forgot that she can't just take
Right.
anybody.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Because she knew it's just their own blood who can stay.
That's right.
Go to
Yeah.
this place.
And
So
she
like-
remembered that after
Exactly.
she found
After.
herself there
But
all
she
alone.
must be like in a zone, completely gone, and just like,
Right.
hey, I take whatever I can right now and just leave, you know.
I was kind of like wondering why it was still dark in that place. I mean, after Chio was killed, I guess again. It became dark,
That's right.
and then when Yuko returned, it was still dark.
That's a good point.
I don't know. It was just
that's a
I was
good
just
point.
like, oh,
Why is it still dark? Yeah.
the light. I don't know. When Chio, I guess Chio was the light. Maybe I don't know. I have no idea. It was just a question that popped up in my mind. I mean,
If the
That's
producer is watching,
right.
let us
Why
know.
was it
Why
dark?
was the light off?
Why was the light off? But yeah, and so Chester finds Yuko and the baby, and they're going to perform this ritual
Right.
to finally destroy the body while the spirit is not attached to the body.
Right.
Yeah.
According to what Yamato-san is telling them.
And,
Yes.
And he claimed
yeah.
himself, right? Yamato-san said, I'm not an onmyoji. Onmyoji is somebody who, and there was such a job back in the 1600s and 1700s, and they were basically people who could perform these religious ceremonies to get rid of
Right.
bad spirits and bad omens.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I wanted to ask you because we see all these different letters or signs
Right.
on her skin, and he's
Yeah.
also saying these 3 Japanese words all
Yeah,
the time.
those are prayers, and he
Prayers,
was also
gotcha.
saying the basic prayer.
Is,
Namu
and, that-
Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, over and over.
and that's a typical thing that you do with people. Let's say someone just died, like normally.
I've
and
never
then-
been in an exorcism, so I haven't done.
Right.
Sorry, no, but seem like.
It is not common.
I was like, she was possessed.
Oh, okay, that's what you do with
Had an
someone.
evil
Okay,
spirit.
Right,
I feel
right.
it.
I think it was more like a binding, like they were, to bind the spirit, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So,
Right.
but the Namu Amida Butsu, the prayer that Yamato-san was saying over and over, that is very common.
Oh, okay.
We say that in Japan all the time still.
Got it.
Okay.
But I've never written prayers on a dead body, nor would I like to.
Right.
That would be creepy.
You're right. Just a little bit.
I'm good.
Right. And so they burned the body, which I was kind of like, I don't know, I was a little sad. I mean,
Yeah.
I
and then
still
I
felt-
remembered everything that she did, and I was like, okay.
I still
We need
felt,
to get rid of it.
Right. I was like, yes, get rid of her.
I still felt sorry for her.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
yes.
I was in between. I was
Yeah.
like,
I still
because
felt sorry for her.
Because now you know the story.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
she was still a young woman, losing, had to give her child away and didn't know what to do. And now, I think she was still just desperate and maybe didn't even know what she was doing.
Right.
Because she just wanted to have her
Yeah.
son back at the end.
But
And that was the goal.
You know what? Like I felt all that, the empathy and all that, but then I remembered, I'm like, Chio did tell you, like she warned you, and
Yeah.
and Yuko chose this.
Yeah.
She chose that path. So I was just like, okay, well,
Right.
let her burn, I guess.
Oh, look at you.
I mean, you don't want any people dying anymore.
That's your evil side inside of you, right?
Let Chester alone. Leave Chester be, okay? She already took his baby and all that stuff, But she escapes again,
Yeah.
like out of in the fire.
And
It
you know,
appeared that way,
It
didn't it?
appeared that way. We saw footsteps. We
saw
heard singing.
footsteps, right?
and when I really felt for her was when I had this one thought, because I remember that scene when Luz was still with her and she
Yeah.
was listening on the belly and was listening to her own grandchilds at the end of the day. That was powerful to me. I remember that scene. I was like, oh my God, she listened to her own grandchilds right now. Now they're gone. So she lost her own son at the beginning.
That's right.
And now also her grandchildren too. So that made it
right.
even stronger for me feeling for her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
By the way, this is the kind of show you can watch many times and,
Oh, yeah.
and pick up
different things,
different
yeah.
things every time
Yeah,
you watch an
that's
episode.
Right. Wow.
Yes.
It was just that was a lot. It was a great episode. Loved it. a lot going on. I can't wait till the next one because there's gonna be more answers, I'm sure.
right.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Just looking at me like,
Right?
she's gonna spill something. I'm actually good about not spilling anything.
I can tell. Have been any last comments on the episode?
No, but I definitely would like to ask you a couple of questions.
Yes, we're gonna
about
get
your
into
life.
we're gonna get into a nice little session here with Hira.
Okay.
Go ahead, man.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You rolling up the sleeves?
Yeah, no,
Are you,
like, I'm ready
ready
to go, people. The German is ready. No, but I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned already you were born and raised the first couple of years in your life in Japan. Then you came over to the U.S. at some point when you were, I think, 19. You mentioned that before, right?
Yes. Well, I was born and raised in Japan.
Yeah.
I came to the U.S. for the first time when I was 9.
That's right.
With my family, with my parents, and I have a little sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we lived here for 2 years, and then we went back to Japan.
Right.
So I was 11 years old when I went back to Japan.
Yeah.
And then I came back as a 19-year-old college student
Right.
by myself.
Mm.
And I have stayed here on my own ever since.
That's so awesome. I have so much respect for that, to be
Yeah.
honest. I mean,
That's
me
awesome.
being a foreigner myself, right? Also talking about the language, your English is perfect.
Well, you
speak Japanese too.
Thank you. I worked really hard to get rid
Right.
of my Japanese accent, and ironically, I'm paid now to
Right.
put it back on
I love
or
that.
speak Japanese.
Right.
But when I first learned English, it was I learned English by being thrown into a public elementary school in Baltimore, Maryland, and I got beat up every day.
Wow.
'Cause
Baltimore, Maryland.
I couldn't tell the teacher.
Oh, wow.
So you know how kids can be.
Yeah, of
Kids
course.
can be pretty darn mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I got beat up every day on my way to school, during recess, on my way home from school.
Oh.
So, in order not to die while commuting back and forth.
Right.
So I got really good at speaking English really fast.
That's awesome. I have so much respect. And now those people, the kids back then looking, I know her. That's what they say today. Look where she is today. I'm just saying.
You
Oh, no, who knows?
You don't even need to think about it. 'cause
I
Exactly.
don't think about it.
I just want
Right.
because I like
No.
this kind of. For me, this is always like
Right.
like a hero story. And I
Yeah.
really
Oh,
mean that.
well,
I'm that serious. Oh, seriously,
thank
if
you.
you experience
I feel like
something
a
like
hero.
that,
Right.
but I feel like that makes you stronger. I think everyone who went through
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
tough times in
Right.
life and
Absolutely.
changes it around and just becomes who they want to be
Oh, yeah.
is a hero to me.
Absolutely. Well,
know?
thank you. But I think that's in most of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
It is.
quite frankly, I mean, like what I went through is nothing compared to what George Takei went through.
Yes,
course.
George
He was interned for
Yeah,
real.
yeah, we talked about that for a
Yes.
second.
And the camps are based on many of the designs and many of the stories and the props are based on what George
Remember?
informed the producers.
Yeah.
And I read his graphic novel recently, and boy, I've never cried so much
Yeah.
reading a graphic novel. It's called they call this Enemy, and
Oh, yeah.
it's about his recollection. It's his recalling of his family going through that time.
Yeah.
Wow.
And wow, it's rough.
That's
That's
crazy.
terrible.
Yeah.
I would definitely. I would love to read it.
Yeah,
It's
a-
Seriously,
wonderful.
because
Yeah.
I can relate to stuff like that. You know what I mean? I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and I just don't want to change the topic completely, but I definitely want to ask you that question because you, as we say, you speak Japanese obviously fluently,
Right.
but you live in the States right now. So
Right.
I'm just wondering, do you also act in Japan? Do you get roles in Japan too?
No,
or how does that work? How does it
no,
work?
I live and work here.
Right.
And I'm actually a very proud American now.
Right.
I have kids,
Nice.
American kids.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it that way. Could you consider it if someone in Japan comes up to you and say, "Hey, we have this movie here in Japan coming up. We would like you to play this and that."
yeah,
Would
no,
you-
of course
oh, awesome.
I would never be opposed
Oh,
to
nice.
that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How
That's
was
great.
it working with George? Like,
George.
what was one of your favorite moments?
George is phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God, favorite moment. There's
All
no
of them.
such thing as one favorite
Yeah,
moment.
if you can tell us, share
we,
one.
we were able to spend so much time together
Yeah.
In cold Vancouver.
Yeah.
Because it was very like record snow and ice.
Really? That crazy?
This
Like-
past February was so cold. And my birthday happens to be in February. So the cast members, Naoko Mori and Kiki Arezane and Miki Ishikawa. Sorry, Miki Ishikawa. There,
Miki
she was
Ishikawa,
here
yeah,
last
she was here
week.
last week, yeah.
Yes, who
Love
plays my
Ishikawa.
daughter. My character's daughter.
They're together, yeah.
Threw me the most wonderful birthday party.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
And all these producers and cast and crew were there. George and his husband Brad were there. And
Right, I love
oh,
it.
they were just wonderful.
That's awesome.
They gave me a bath bomb for my birthday.
Ah.
So that means you are
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, I love that. Those are awesome.
you are Aquarius?
Yes.
Me
She is
too.
Aquarius.
Oh,
Why is
right. All right.
Gemini over here.
We love
By
you
my
too.
lonesome. It's
We
okay.
love you too, man. It's okay.
Yeah, George is great.
Yeah,
Sure.
I just remember the one story. I think we talked about George and what he did sometimes. I think someone said that in an interview too, that sometimes he was just walking around and then he just sat down for 20 minutes and just had a nap. You know,
Yeah,
just
that was-
chilling
that
for a
was
moment.
Chris-
and then he woke up
Kristen.
again. Okay, can we move on? Did
Yeah,
you
Christopher
remember
was
those
there,
kind of
yeah.
stories? Did that happen to you? Did you see it?
I do remember seeing a little cot and
Cot,
it
yeah.
said for George Take and okay, move on.
Hey, I mean, when you
Don't
get
nap
your
there.
age, you need to
Don't
nap.
nap there.
Exactly.
By the way, though, he is an older gentleman, but
Yeah.
he works out like nobody's business. He's
Oh, wow.
in
That's-
shape.
Oh, wow.
I
That's,
asked him because he's just a little bit younger than my father by just like a year or two. So I asked him, I said, what is your health secret? You know, and he said, I watch what I eat.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, stay away from the red meats, etc. But he said, I also exercise. So I said, oh, what do you do? And I'm expecting him to say, I walk a mile a day or something
Right.
like that, right? He said he does 3 sets of 50 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, and 100 pull-ups.
Yes.
Every day.
Yeah,
love that.
I love it.
I love that.
I love it.
And that's
Me
the
being
goal for
me
me
being
too.
a personal trainer, I love to hear that.
That's you.
love
If
to
I
hear
can
that.
say when I'm his age, I do the same thing, I made it.
Right.
I don't think I've done 150 sit-ups ever in my life total.
Not yet.
In a whole year? No.
Whole year. I was thinking total.
I was just kidding. Just kidding. So what's going on with you? Do you have any projects coming up or anything we should look out for?
Let's see. I'm going to be in the new. I did one episode of the new season of Dynasty,
Okay.
so I'll be on that.
Nice.
And I'm always going out for stuff.
Yeah,
And
of course.
yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm here, there,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
I do everything.
Working, acting,
so,
yes.
Yes.
Did you were you a fan of the first season of The Terror?
Yes,
Okay.
that was creepy, scary.
Amazing, right?
Yes.
That was amazing. So
was
yeah, when
creepy,
you got
scary,
this
too.
role, how did you feel when you got the
Well, when I got the audition, quite frankly, I read it and I thought, I don't know what this has anything to do with that ship.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So I thought, right. So that's the first question
Right.
I asked. I said, I don't understand what's happening.
Right,
Like,
right.
well, what is this? Where is the ship? And
Right.
what happened? Who is this? So
Awesome.
that's when I found out that
Yeah.
has nothing to do
Nothing
with
to
this
do
Yeah,
with
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So
the
I
anthology.
didn't watch the first season. I
Yeah.
have to
Oh.
say,
First season is amazing.
So I was
Yeah. It's just
completely-
an anthology.
I was a
yes.
virgin.
Right.
I
So
was
so every season is a different world.
Yeah,
Right,
different
right,
world.
right,
But I love it. I love
Yeah.
how they
Yeah.
bring fiction to non-fiction. Like it's just I love it.
But that
the
was
whole-
also based on a true story.
It was on,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was based on a true
Yeah.
story, expedition,
That's
everything.
right.
And I went to go, I was Googling afterwards and I'm like
Right.
finding out.
That's
the
right. Like,
bits.
what happened to these
Yeah,
people?
what happened to these people? Right.
But I just wanted to ask one more thing, if you
Yes.
don't mind, because we always talked about the audition process. And I also
Yes.
wanted to ask you, how was your audition process? Because I think everyone said, okay, we auditioned for another role first,
Right.
but then out of a sudden, at some point, they just called me back in, and then they asked me to do this part. And then at the end, I was cast for this part.
Right,
So how
right.
was it for you?
Right. I had a similar experience. I read for Asako first.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
But that did not work out for me. But I think Naoko Mori is just so perfect as Asako.
Right.
And then I got this role for Fumi.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
And you rock it.
oh, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
you
Yeah.
did great
No,
job.
Fumi's a fun role.
Right.
Definitely.
She's keeps saying these things. that-
Right.
and you go, what?
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. This is great having you on the show. And Ben, go ahead and see us out.
Oh yeah, so yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. It's at Benjamin Schnau, SCHNAU, right? And I also do Pennyworth on Sunday, 7 p.m. And then on Tuesday, I do The Dark at 8 p.m. in German for you guys.
And where can I find you for you?
I am on Twitter at Hira Ambrosino, and my Instagram, which I just started, is Ambrosino Hira.
Ambrosino Hira.
Yes.
Awesome. And you can find me everywhere at I am Danny Royce.
Everywhere.
Folks, tune in next week, same place, same time. We have another very special guest for you. Have a great night. Nice seeing you.
Thank you,
Our
guys.
founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.